はい。それじゃあパネルディスカッションを開始いたします。
So we would like to
引き
start
続
the
きまして
panel
ですね、このモデレー
discussion.
ター、パネルのモデレーター、私、
I
藤
will
田が
also
務めさ
serve
せてい
as
ただき
the
ます。
moderator for the panel
パネリス
discussion.
トのまず紹介させていただきますが、
Let me
このパ
introduce
ネ
the
ルには、
panelists.
基調講演をいただきました、イサップ
Keynote
の向井殿
speakers,
会長と、
Mukaido Dr. Mukaido
ORP のコン
about
コレフスキー
IGSAP
さん
and
に加えて、
Mr.
同じくイグサッ
Konkolevsky
プの
from
理事をして
ORP
務めて
and
おられる
directors
川
of
田隆さ
IGSAP,
んと、
Mr. Takashi
藤田
Kawata
敏弘さん
and
に参加
Mr.
いただくことにな
Toshihiro
ってございま
Fujita.
す。川田さんは清水建設の常勤顧問でおられま
Mr.
すが、トン
Kawata
ネルを
is
はじめと
standing
して、
advisor for
日本中の、
Shimizu.
世界中の土木工
He
事に
has
携
been
わっておら
involved
れ
in the
ております。
many
ま
global
た、
civil
弊社の
engineering
アイデック株
works,
式会社の
including
CTO
tunnels.
常務執行役員であると同
Mr.
時に、
Fujita is CTO,
日本認
Managing
証の会長
Executive
として、
Officer
安全
of
分野に対し
IDEC
て
and the
長年世
Chairman of
界的に
Japan
活躍されておられ
Certification,
ます。
quite
はい、
active
後
in
ほど言いますが、
safety globally.
このビジョンゼロの推進の国
We
際
will
的フレー
discuss
ムワー
this
クの
later.
タスクフォー
There
ス
is an
にも
international
ですね、
framework for
メ
Vision
ンバーで
Zero,
もおられるわけでございます。
a global coalition task
あ
force, and
の、
he is a
お二人
member
とも先ほどのコン
of
ゴレフスキさ
the
んからご紹
task
介のありまし
force.
たビジョンゼロとグレートリセット
Two
の
of
カンファレン
them
スに出席され、
participated in the
また
Vision
向
Zero
井
and the
殿先
Growth
生とも
Reset
ご一緒に
conference that Mr.
第1回ビジョン
Konkolevsky
ゼロ
talked
サミットに
about, and
出
also
席されている
together
の
with
は向井
Dr.
殿先生から
Mukaidono, they
私宛ての
attended
ご
the
搭載し
first
ていろいろな
Vision
情
Zero
報発
summit,
信
which
を
took
お
place in
願いしたい
November
ところでございます。
2019, quite
はい。
actively
今日のトピッ
communicating
クでございます。
information.
先ほど来お話になっ
So
て
this shows
お
you
りますよ
the
うな、
topics we want to
ビジョ
pick
ン
up
ビジョン
for
ゼ
the
ロ経済
panel
連携と特にウ
discussion.
ェルビーイングということについてフォーカスしたいと思っております。それから2番目には協
Vision
調安全
Zero
というこ
and
とでビジョンゼ
collaborative
ロ、向田
safety
先生
and
のお話も
their
あったん
relationship
ですが、
with
まずこの
well-being.
両者の関係でどういうふうに考えてい
Next,
くか
we
という
want
こと
to
を深
talk
めてい
about,
き
as
たい
you heard from
という
Dr.
ことでござい
Mukaidono,
ま
we
す。
want to
それ
think
から3
about
番
the
目、これはコンゴ
relationship
レフ
between the
スキーさん
collaborative
の
safety and
お
Vision
話、
Zero. We
カ
want
ン
to
ファレンス
deepen the
のテーマでござい
discussion.
ました。
Then
グレー
thirdly,
トリセット、
Mr.
グレートリセット時
Konkolevsky
代にお
talked
いて、
about the
ビジョンゼロなり、
conference
あるいはバリューに対しての
of
協
the
調安
Great
全というのはど
Reset
ういうふうに捉
and
えていくか
Vision Zero.
ということを、
So, what is the
考
role
え
of
たい。
Vision
それと
Zero
ま
in
た、
the
4
age
番目に
of
は、
the Great
日
Reset?
本に
What
おけ
is
る
the role
拡
for
大、
the
このビジ
collaborative
ョンゼロ
safety
ので
in
す
the
ね、日
age
本に
of
おける
Great
拡大という
Reset?
のをどういうふうにしていくか
Fourth
という
topic
こと
is
でござい
how
ま
we
す。
can disseminate Vision
はい。そ
Zero
れで
in
最後に、
Japan.
Q&A のセッションも用意してございます。ということで、すみません、ちょっと申し遅れましたが、
And then we want
基
to
調
take
講
up
演の向田先
some
生、コン
question
コレフ
from the
スキーさん
audience.
に対する質問も含めてですね、あるいはパネルの中において、出て
And
お
the
られる、
participant
出てく
or
る
the audience can
クエスチョン
also
についても、質
put
問に
up
ついても、
questions to
チャットの
Mr.
方に書いていた
Konkolevsky
だく
and
というこ
Dr.
とでお願い
Mukaidono,
した
and
いと思い
also
ます。
questions
私どもの
to
方でそれを
panelists.
整理して、こ
Please
の
write down
Q&A のセッショ
your
ンのところで、
questions in the chat.
整理したいと
This
思い
is a
ます。
request to the
はい。
audience.
ということでございます。それで、すいません。
So, for some of the
今日
participants
は
for
拡大
this
安全経営フォーラムという
expanded
ことで、ビジョンゼロにつ
development,
いて、
this may be
初
the
めてお
first
聞
time
きに
to
なる
hear
という
about the
方もおら
Vision
れる
Zero.
かもしれません。
So I'd
そ
like
のアウト
to
ライ
give
ン
you
をちょっ
some
と整理
outline
して
of
おきたいと
Vision
思いま
Zero.
す。先ほど来
The
ILO とか ISSA という言葉が
slide
出てまいりますが、ILO というのは国
shows
際の専
you
門機関の一つでご
the
ざいます。他にユネスコと WTO があるわけですが、
ILO
それと並ぶ15ある中
and
の
the
一つでご
other
ざいます。
international
それの
organizations.
2つ組み
ILO
まし
is
た
one
独
of the
立の独立
UN-related
した機関というの
organizations.
が ISSA ということでございまして、そこが
And there is a
コ
the
ンコレフ
special
スキーさんもお
independent
られましたが、ビ
organization
ジョンゼ
named
ロのキャンペーンを始め
ISSA.
た、2017年
Mr.
に開始した、
Konkolevsky once worked
正
for
式にローンチしたということでご
ISSA
ざいま
in
す。そ
2017.
れ
This
で、
organization started the
先ほどあり
promotion
ましたように、
of Vision
第1回
Zero.
サミットでですね、グローバル、フィンランドで行われたときに、グロ
The
ーバルコー
first
リション
summit
for Safety and
took
Health at
place
Work ということで、
in
そういった
Finland.
国際的な連携、いろ
The
んなプロ
Global
グラムが流
Coalition
れてい
for
る中で、
Safety
そ
and
れを
Health at
国際的
Work
に連携を図ろう
was
ということで、
inaugurated.
ILO、
There
あ
are
るいは
many
WHO が中
ongoing
心となり
international
まして、こうい
programs,
う
and we
コーリション
wanted
連
to
携体です
establish
ね、そういったものを作り
a
ましたと。
coalition
その中の一
led
つにで
by
すね、
ILO and
ここにございま
WHO.
すような、タスクグループオン
And
ビジョ
one
ン
of
ゼロ、あとザエンタープライズレベルというのができましたと言って、ここが
the
ビジョン
task
ゼロ
groups
を、
is
もちろん
here,
各機関がそれぞれを
and the
推進
task
している
group
わけで
on
ござい
Vision
ます
Zero
が、
at the
全
enterprise
体として
level.
世界的に協力しながら推進していると
Of
いう
course,
こと
all
で、
the
ま 例えばサミッ
organizations are
トを開く
working
とか
very
ですね、そういっ
hard,
たこと
but
もこ
we
こで、
make sure that there is a good
考えていると。
global
そこに
collaboration,
こ
and
う今日
hosting a
も
summit
参
is
加いただ
one
いて
of
ます、
those
藤田さん
activities.
に、アジア代表として入っておられて、
Mr.
一番
Fujita
左の
is a
フィンランドが
representative of
チェアをしてい
Asian
ますが、
region,
ILO、それから
and
ISSA
this
等々
group
が
is chaired
コーリ
by
ーダーとして、あるい
Finland.
は背景に関係
ILO,
の方もおられる。そういう
ISSA
形で、
are
取り組みが行われ
co-leaders
ている。そういう事業、
together with
と
business
いうのがビジ
leaders.
ョンゼロの全体を 推進していこうというメカニズムになっているわけでござい
So
ます。
this is
後
the
の方で言います
overview
が、そのサ
of
ミットというのは
Vision Zero and how it
2022
has been
年に予定されてご
promoted.
ざいますが、それも
And the summit
この中のこの
is
グローバル
to be
コーリ
hosted
ション
in
並びにタスクグループの
2022.
中でいろいろ議論が進められているということでございます。
Global Coalition
はい。
its task group is having
と
various
いうことで、そ
discussion
の辺でア
concerning
ウト
the
ラインちょっ
summit
とご
as
理解
well.
いただいた上でですね、
So
協
this
調
is
案
the
内とビジョン
outline
ゼ
of
ロ、
Vision
先ほど
Zero,
来、コンクレフスキーさんにも具体的な例をいくつたくさん出していただいたわけです
collaborative
が、その辺をもう
safety
ちょっ
and
と掘り下
Vision
げてです
Zero.
ね、
And
川田さ
Mr.
ん並びに
Kopleski gave
菊
us
池
a
さんの
lot
方か
of
ら、
good examples. We want to deepen
どう
our
いったこ
discussion
とで、協
with
調安全の
Mr.
技術がどういうふう
Kawata
に導
and
入されて、あるい
Fujita,
はそれが社内
sharing
に
with
対してどう
us
いうインパクトを与えているかとい
how
うご
the
紹介
technology
い
of
ただくとこ
collaborative
ろから
technology
始
is
めさせ
being
ていただければと思い
implemented
ます。
and
それ
what
ではま
kind
ず
of
川田さん
impacts
の
are
方から
being
お
generated.
願い申し上げます。
Mr. Kawata, please.
In 2018, the second safety seminar was held, and I made this presentation at that time. And that used to be an manufacturer's company, but we joined in because, let me explain. And this is the comparison between Japan and other countries. This is the number of deaths per 100,000. It was 1.3 in 2006 in the UK, but as the time went, it went down to zero point 0.6 and zero point 0.4. And here is Japan, it's been going down, but less than 10% decline. And in the US, it's increasing. And when I looked at it, I was very surprised. I've been in charge of Japanese sites and also overseas sites. And I had believed that Japanese concept of safety was very sophisticated. So this is the performance in Japan. The blue line is all industries and the red line is construction industry. The bar chart is tunnels. As you can see here, when I made this presentation in 2018, the 10 years up to 2018, all the industries and the construction industry hasn't had not seen any changes in the numbers. There had been no decline anymore. And that's why I started my research by joining ICSAP. Toyota also made a presentation in that conference. Before 2018, for the 10 years, they had a very high figure, but they could reduce the figure since 2008 because they had consulted with DuPont in the US and they learned from DuPont to work on safety. So this kind of new initiative is necessary, I thought. At that time, Land and Transportation Ministry in Japan introduced the idea of eye construction. This is to increase the productivity of construction site by 2025. And in accordance with eye construction, we wanted to introduce the idea of safety to rid of the accidents. This is the initiative we started. Talking about construction industry, it was a very closed industry, but we tried to learn from other industries as well. This is a comparison between Japanese views and Western views. I was very surprised because in Japan the concept is that we believe that we can prevent the recurrence of accidents if we make efforts. But in the US or in Western countries, they believe that it's not possible to absolutely eradicate any risk. In Japan, safety is free, but in Western countries, they believe that cost is required to ensure safety. So they think that they need to invest in safety. As I mentioned, construction industry had been very closed. However, we started to learn from other industries, for example, from aviation industry, medical industry, and a machine industry. And ICSAP tried to learn from those industries. In the example of machine safety, they have this assumption that human beings always make mistakes. And in 2018, Dr. Pete Kynes, he is an expert of safety, and also in March 2018, Mr. Alanka Tommy and Mr. Tila Marie Moni, who are experts of safety in Finland, we work with them. They came to Tokyo and they woke up in 5 in the morning and they joined the team, construction team. And then they gave us a lot of instruction about from the Western countries. However, the morning assembly in Japan, they experienced morning assembly in Japan, and these transmitter in the headgear of the workers, they also learned from those things in Japan. And they said that they were very impressed with those undertakings in Japan. So we have a lot of strengths, but we can also learn from Western countries and also recent ICT and AI. Maybe we can incorporate them as well so that we can further promote the safety. And this is about the Safety 2.0 approach. We have to deal with safety in a new viewpoint, a new mindset. And this is a meeting we held with experts. And we also decided to learn from other industries. And we also conducted a survey about the mindset about safety. And the machine safety is also very important, we thought. So, as you can see here, we learned a lot from those activities. And this is what we had started in 2017. This is Shimizu's smart tunnel. Construction of tunnel is very dangerous, and the most dangerous area is here. And at the back side, in a very limited space of 10 meters in width, many heavy equipments come and go. And now we introduced a lot of sensors here. And we also, for collaborative safety, we introduced many sensors for observation, or I mean for monitoring. And in order to communicate our ideas, in 2018, we decided to learn from machine safety. In 2019, we learned about risk assessment. And in 2020, we learned about how to reduce the risk at sites. With the support of Dr. Mukaidono and Nikkei BP, we've conducted those activities. And in order to communicate the importance of safety to workers, the human, technology, and organization, we conducted risk communication by using manga, comic, Japanese comic. And those stories came from not from the headquarters, but from the workers at sites. and also subcontractors and workers. Based on the actual cases, they came up with those stories. And they are very easy to understand, and these are very good material for communication of safety. As Professor Mukaidano introduced, this is the construction site of tunnel. This is a mucking operation, and that is a time when a lot of heavy equipments come and go. And this is an off-limit area by the rule. However, people often go into these areas, and sometimes accidents happen. Therefore, we introduced a system here to warn the operator when there are people inside. So by this, we got the certificate of safety 2.0. And this is about positioning a management system and warning system and heavy equipment system. With these systems, we've got Safety 2.0 certificate. And we have conducted surveillance at the second time. And we conducted a survey by 33 workers and asked 10 questions. And blue line is before the introduction, and the red line is after the introduction of the system. By introducing this system, people's mindset have changed. This is my conclusion. Workers, rather than managers, are aware of the change brought about by the introduction of the new system. And now we have new mindset about human error, violation, and risk oversight. Okay, then. I think I'll give you the slide later. So that's all from myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawata. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Fujita to talk about what IDEC has been doing for Vision Zero. What are the actions taken and what are the responses from your people? And what is the impact on the business management? Can you see my slide? Mr. Konklevsky talked about Vision Zero and the Great Reset. And I attended the conference. I was there to talk about the collaborative safety promoted by Japan. It's about integration of technology, people, rulemaking, and management to give a holistic approach. IEC white paper was prepared, and these are the members who prepared the basis for the white paper. Toyota, Mitsubishi Electric, IDEC, Shimizu Corporation, and participated with Mr. Kawata. And Mr. Takeda asked me to talk about what was the impact on the business management at IDEC. So I would like to talk about what IDEC has been doing. When Vision Zero campaign started in 2018, we established a specialized department led by a person who is supervising the manufacturing. And the team well-being was immediately established to support the remote working when the pandemic started. And the safety, health, and well-being in the business was clearly tried. And now we make sure that we are going to introduce safety technology into our organization. Safety, health, and the well-being need to be stressed by the management. We now have the certification of 14,001, and as an upper level concept, we thought that we should be aware of the 7 golden rules. The left top shows you the radar part, radar chart improvement every year. This was a wonderful discovery. 7 golden rules based on Vision Zero was implemented, and we found it right. At the Minamiyama, we have a place where we introduce more technology. With support of METI, we now have autonomous mobile robots. We have employees not only from Japan and also from other countries like Vietnam. We have a history of 75 years. And from the start, we believe that the respecting humanity is quite important. And we have the concept of creating safety. So for dimension of technology, human standards and management, and the leadership taken from the very top of the organization, and we train people so that they can be qualified. We introduce technology. We participate in the standard making. So for us, Vision Zero concepts gets along with the respect of humanity. That is the principle from the foundation of the company. And creation of safety, and we want to think about the next step, that is a creation of well-being. Why is it that we introduce Vision Zero? For people, we have to improve and realize safety, health, and well-being. This is a belief on the part of the top management. And Mr. Morimoto, he is an engineer, software engineer of IDEC, and all the employees supported him when he participated in a TV program showing the physical fitness. And this is one of the example of holistic view, integrated view taken by the company IDEC. Thank you.
深津さん、あるいは藤田さんの方からお話がある
Thank you very much. When it comes to safety, we tend to think about eliminating accidents. But as has been discussed by Fujita-san, now we have wider scope. Because of the new idea of well-being, we have the wider concept. From the standpoint of the safety study, we would like to ask Professor Mukaidono. Do you hear me? When it comes to safety, in the past, we focused on avoiding injury, physical injuries. That was the main concern. But now we are focusing on mental side or mental diseases. But not only that, depending on the company, there are employees with a lot of mental diseases. So what we want to achieve is an environment where people are working happily. So health and sense of reward and sense of purpose and well-being are all very important. I think all those concepts are incorporated into the concept of safety now. In the past, avoiding injury was the only focus. But now, what we have to achieve is a very happy environment for employees, and that will lead to a better performance of companies. In that sense, safety is the basic foundation, but we also have to think about health and well-being. Well-being is a concept which is difficult to translate into Japanese, but that incorporates the idea of sense of purpose and sense of reward. So we now have a wider concept, but basically starting from avoiding physical injury, that is also very important still. But three concepts are also all have to be
はい、どうもありがとうご
incorporated
ざいます。
to
今のお
create
話にも
the
つながるのか
appropriate
もしれませんが、
environment.
ビジョンゼロっていうの
So
は、
the
労働そ
message
の
is that we
世界
now
で
have a
初めて
wider
このウェ
concept.
ルビーイングという概念がですね、ターゲットして
Thank
導入さ
you
れたわけです。
very much.
コンコレ副社
Vision
に
Zero
コメントいただければ
is
いい
the
んですが、
first
どうしてそういう
the
ウェルビー
activities
イング
to
という
target
コンセプト
well-being
が
as a
ターゲッ
concept
トとして導入されたのか、
in the
そ
world
の
of
辺の経緯といいますか、インパク
OSH.
トっていうの
I
を
have a
ちょっと教え
question
て
to
いただけ
Mr.
ればありが
Konkolevsky.
たいんでござ
Why
いま
was
す
it
が。
that the well-being became part of the
Yes, thank
target
you very
of
much.
Vision Zero?
Well, I
Could
would
you
like to
talk about the
refer to
history
what
and
I
the
mentioned
impact you
before
have
and I
had?
showed before, which is that at the time when we designed the Vision Zero campaign and the Vision Zero concept of safety, health, and well being, we had the knowledge that a large amount of the injuries that were taking place were not safety related or classically health related, but they were related to a wider sense of well being. And this was a trigger for us to look more into detail into the role of well-being in the world of work. And we found evidence that the well-being status of a person influences on a person's behavior and therefore also influences, for example, accidents. So if we look at the definition of what health is by the World Health Organization, and this is a definition that dates back to 1948. And in that definition, the World Health Organization says health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And this wide definition of health, I think this is exactly what we will try with this new definition of safety, health, and well being to bring to the world of work, because in prevention, we had a reduced view. Our view was focusing on accidents, so injuries that directly relate to work. We did not look at the person's health in its totality and its well-being in the totality. So one can say that with this new definition, it's high time that we in the world of work, in prevention, also recognize the WHO's definition from 1948. And by doing so, we actually discover that we can reduce accidents, we can improve the health status of people, but we can also improve their motivation and we can improve their productivity. And by doing this, we also enlarge the function of prevention and make it more important in the company. Because just to mention one figure at the end is that if you look at absenteeism, between 50 and 60% of all absenteeism is related to psychosocial issues, to stress and other mental health issues. So every day, 50%, half of all people not working, are not at their work because of these issues. In our traditional understanding of safety and health, we would not capture these people, we not bring them back to work, we not prevent this absenteeism. So by including well-being in our definition of what prevention covers, we actually finally, I would say, we are going to address the totality of the risks, and we will make our work much more relevant to the company because it will also increase the competitiveness of the company. It will increase the competitiveness of a country as well. And I think also it will help Japan to climb up in the world report, no, in the ranking of happiness of countries in the world.
はい、どうもありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
そういうことで、本当です。本来あるべき姿に戻り
So
つつあ
we
ると
are
いうこと
going
かもし
back
れませんが、
to
そういうこと
what
がクリアになった
we
かなというふう
should
に思います。
have
で、
done.
時間もしておりまし
Thank you
て、
for your
まだテーマが
clarification.
4
We
つ
have
5つある中でまだ
many
1つ終わっ
more
ただけでござ
themes
いま
and
す
we
が、
covered
4
only
つ、2番
one.
目についてはで
So
す
may
ね、協
we
調安
move
全
on
とビジョン
to
ゼロの
the
関係。これは
second, the relationship between the collaborative safety and Vision Zero.
イグサップの内部でもですね、それどういうふうな形で
Inside
関係があ
EXAP,
るのかというと、
we have
ク
been
リアにしてほしいと
discussing the
いう方
relationship
もおられるわけ
between
でございま
the
す。
EXAP
その辺について関
Division
係を整
Zero
理してお
and the
きたいと思い
collaborative
ます
safety.
が、
Some members are
この辺、ガイ
demanding
ドの先生から一言
clarification. Dr. Mukaidono, could you say some comments? Collaborative safety is the realization of safety only by rule, only by technology, only by humans. This is a collaboration among all of the factors. So collaborative safety is a wide concept. And by putting it into the OSH, we have to include the health and well-being. That's why we are connected to Vision Zero. The basis of the Vision Zero, I would say, is a collaborative safety. Through collaborative safety, the workplace become a wonderful place to work. And that's why we believe it's related to the well-being, collaborative safety, and safety in the Vision Zero is clearly connected as a royal road.
ビジョンゼロの国際的なフレームワークでも活動されている藤田さんの方から、
Mr. Fujita, you have been working at the Global Coalition Task Force. Could you talk about relations between the collaborative safety and the Vision Zero? I think the slide will help you understanding. When that was established, we believe that the collaborative safety is quite important in order to expand the concept of safety management, technology, people, and international rulemaking are all involved. And the IEC white paper was prepared. In 2017, we made a proposal, and at around the same time, we came to know the concept of Vision Zero. And the concept of Vision Zero is starting with the leadership from the top and the participation by all, and the technology qualification and the training of the people. Technology is green, humanities is yellow and orange, the management and the rule making is in blue. So our four-dimensional activities are understood as concrete actions under Vision Zero. We realize that we are trying to say the same thing. So safety, health, and well-being is our target based on the technology. And what Mr. Kukuruski was talking about, the safety, health, and well-being from the perspective of business management. Although the starting perspectives are different, we take a different road, but we are trying to go to the top of the same big mountain. So, Mr. Kukuruski, do you agree with our understanding of the relationship between the collaborative safety and Vision Zero? Thank you very much. So, Mr. Konkolevsky, we have a question. Collaborative safety from the perspective of the global world, how do you see the concept of collaborative safety? Could you give us your comments? Well, how do you see the relationship? Is there affinity between the collaborative safety and the Vision Zero?
Thank you very much. No, I'm very pleased to confirm exactly what Dr. Fujita just mentioned, that there is a direct link between the principles in Vision Zero and the principles in collaborative safety. One can say they go hand in hand. And I would like here to express my appreciation for Japan and for youth for developing this concept. Because I think it's important as the world is now experiencing this change in technology, the digitalization process, and where we need exactly these type of understandings to make sure that digitalization is in the service of humanity, and that it helps us not to relieve us from hard labor, that it helps us to avoid accidents and illnesses, and that we can use this technology also in a predictive way so that we can avoid accidents and illnesses at all. So for me, collaborative safety is a very, very important part of achieving the goal of Vision Zero and underlining the mindset that all accidents and harm at work are preventable. So I'm very grateful to all of you, and I'm sure that collaborative safety will be recognized and appreciated around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we move on to the next topic?
ザ・グレート・リセットということで、先ほど国際
And
福
this
祉
is
さんが言いま
about
したように、
Great Reset,
大
as
体
Mr.
これについて3、4
Konkolowski
分は語
mentioned.
ったところでございますが、まあ
We want to talk about
ま
Great
あ、サマリ
Reset.
ーをいただくというより、むしろですね、その参加された川田さん、
Kawata-san
の
and
藤田さんの方
Fujita-san
からで
who
すね、
participated.
特にインプレッシブ
If
だっ
you
た、印象
can
的だっ
talk
た
about
事
the
項など
most
を教えて
impressive
いただければなと思うんですけれ
ideas
ど
that
も、
you,
川田さん、いかがでございましょう
as
か。
I
先ほどちょ
mentioned,
っとお話しさせていただいたように、我々2018年ぐらいからいろん
as
な
I
ことを進めてるん
mentioned,
ですけども、グレートリセットのところ
since
でですね、いろいろ
2008,
海
we
外
have
の事例なんかも聞い
introduced
て
a
もで
lot
す
of
ね、非常にやっ
initiatives.
ぱり我々
And
あ
at
の当
the
時は
Great
結構先に進
Reset,
んでたのかなと思
we
ったんですけ
heard
ど
a lot
も、
of
世界
examples
は
from
すごい勢いで
overseas.
ですね、やっぱり ICT だとか AI だとか最
And
先
back
端の技術
then,
を
we
使っ
thought
て、
that we are more
い
advanced
ろん
than
なとこ
other
ろでですね、
countries. But now,
安
things have
全に向け
changed.
て取り組んでる
Overseas
という
companies
の
are
を非常に
utilizing
感じました。
digital
そういっ
and
た意味で我
ICT
々
to
もですね、
achieve
刺
safety.
激を受けたというとこ
That's
ろか
my
なと思います。
impression.
ありがとうございます。
So
藤田
the
さんの方からいかが
conference
でご
was
ざいましょ
very
うか。
inspiring. 藤田さん, do you have any
川田さ
comment?
んと一緒に、講演出させてもらったんですけど、川田さんからそのシンポジウムが終わった直後に、
I was
夜電話いた
in
だ
the
いたんですよ。
conference with
やっぱり日
Kawata-san,
本は
and
世
right
界
after the
に強いから、さら
conference,
にこれを先
I
進
got
め
a
て、
phone call from
海外と
Kawata-san,
連携しながらやっていこうじゃないかというような
and he
お声をいた
mentioned
だいたん
that
ですけど、
Japan is doing
その
well,
背
but we
景
have
と
to
して
do
ですね、
even
今日
better
私
by
が一番印
collaborating
象
with
的だった
other
ことを一つ
companies in
お伝えしておきたいん
overseas.
ですけれども、デンマー
And
ク
what is
の
the most
え
impressive thing
セブン
today
ニルタウさ
was
んという
that
方が発表されてたスライドを使ってちょっとお話ししたいんですけれども、これ
from
をですね、いわ
Denmark,
ゆるディジタリゼーション、ヨーロッパの人はよくデ
Tao-san
ジタリ
made
ゼー
a
ションと言うんですけ
presentation,
れども、ここでは
and she
2つ
talked
意
about
味合いを持たせているんです。
digitalization.
デジタリゼーションがこのセーフティヘルスウェルビーイング
And
を
there
どん
were
どんどん
two
どん進め
meanings
てい
to
く。
digitalization
左
here:
側にありますようにアドバンストロボティクス
safety,
アーティフィシャ
health,
ルイン
and
テリジェンス
well-being.
で右側にはこう
In
セーフティ
the
ワークプレイス
world of
要
safety,
はこの
digitalization
左
is
側の技術的な側面で言いますと、
playing a
今は
very
ロ
big
ボットが
role.
実際その働く環境に入り、で、か
Talking
つ
about
ヘ
the
ルスという
technological
側面
side, a lot
で
of
パワースーツみ
robots
たいな
are
ものが
now
動くよう
working
な
with
世の中に
human,
なっている。
and
ビッグデー
exoskeletons
タ、
like a
AI、
power
そういったものが
suit.
だんだん当たり前になってい
Those
く
are
中
being
で、
utilized
なお
as
かつ
well.
その個人
Big
の孤独感
data,
というものも
AI,
どんどん減っていく。
those
で、
are
当然こ
like
の
an everyday
IoT 技
thing
術が進
now.
みましたから、もうモバイル機器
And
を現場
smart
に使うのが
equipments
当たり
being
前。
used to
どこにでも
protection
も
of
うそ
the
の技術
workers.
が発達
And
して、
mobile
オン
equipments
ラ
are
イン
now
で、会議だ
used
けでは
at
な
the
くて、例え
sites.
ば物のチェックであってもオンライ
And
ンでできる。
online, they are
働く
doing not
環境が
only
様変わ
meetings,
り
but
して、
also they are
で、それをで
checking
すね、
the
実
inventory.
際に
So
日
working
本の
environment and working
人たちが
conditions have
この
changed
新しい7
dramatically.
つのゴールデンルールを提案してきて、セブン
And
ゴールデ
people
ンル
in
ールという
Europe
デジタリゼーションという概念を
have
デンマークで発
proposed
表したわけ
new
なんですよ。これ7
seven
つのゴール
golden
デンルー
rule
ル、
for
皆さんあまりご存知ない
digitalization.
ので、これ漢字で書いてますから見ていただければわかるんですけ
You
ど、
may not be
要は
aware
一
of
つが
these
この
seven golden
テ
rules.
クノロ
So
ジーを
these
運
are the
用する
seven
でし
rules.
っかりし
As you
た
can
マネジメン
see,
トシステム、例えば
take
こちらで
leadership,
お話しされているような
demonstrate
ISO の
commitment,
45001番の認証であったりとか、でそこで必要な、
like
人
ISO
材を資
45,000
格を含
has
め
to be
て
taken, for example,
向上して、
and
で人
also
材全員で会社全
qualification of
体で
the
これをやってい
workers
こ
have
う
to
とい
be
う取り組み
improved,
をしているのがこのセブンゴールデンルールなんですけれども、これのデジタル
and
バージョン
all
で
the
すね、
people in
トップ
companies
がリーダー
have
シッ
to
プを
work
取るの
as
が、こう
one.
いう従来
And
の
this
セ
is
ーフ
the
ティーヘルスに加え
digital
て、デ
version.
ジタリゼーション戦略をコミットメントしようと。で、
Um,
ウェルビーイングを考えて、
leadership by the
プロ
top
アクティブなリーデ
management,
ィングインディケーターを持って、なお
and
かつ
also the
リーダー化
well-being
のための資格を
and
取得す
proactive
ると
leading
いう、
indicators have to be
そ
used,
の社員全
and
員でそういった
qualification of
デジタリ
the
ゼーションストラテジーを
digitalization
実装
is
していくと。
necessary,
ですか
and
ら、
all the
工場安
employees
全という概念、
have
先ほど申し上げた
to
ようにイノベーション
implement
になって、
digitalization
技術とかでもセ
strategies.
ーフティーにいろいろ
So
や
the
っているのが、
concept of
やっぱりそ
collaborative
の、
safety
日本から影響を与えたというとおこがましいかもわかりませんけれども、日本のその先駆
has
的
been
な取り組み
incorporated
が
in this.
海
Maybe
外からですね、
Japan is making
生まれていると
impacts
いう
in
こと
other
も、
countries.
ある種嬉し
So
い
very
ことで
advanced
すけれど
undertaking
も、
in Japan
川田
has
さん
now being incorporated by companies overseas, and I'm very happy to see it. However, other countries are progressing fast. So how to pursue safety, health, and well-being in post-COVID will be a very important question to answer. Thank you very much. When we talk about Great Reset, SDG and ESG and digital transformation, those are keywords. And now we have a pandemic, and we now have to reset everything. And in this process, digitalization has been further accelerated. And in this process, we have to focus on Vision Zero. That's my understanding. Now we have to take some time for Q&A. So about the fourth topic, but let's talk about the fourth topic. I would like to ask Mr. Konklevsky to talk about how world vision, how world
Yeah, thank you
leaders
very much.
are understanding the
As it
concept
was
of Vision
mentioned
Zero.
earlier, the ESA launched the Vision Zero campaign in 2017 during the World Congress for Safety and Health at Work in Singapore. And before that, of course, there has been a lot of consultation, there have been a lot of initiatives, and the campaign was trying to bring all these initiatives together. And at this stage, already many countries and many companies had the objective of Vision Zero, of zero, on their agenda. And I just would like to remind that the topic of zero accidents has been on the agenda of Japan since the early 70s. So as I know of, this has the first national zero campaign, so zero accident campaign was actually launched in Japan. So the Vision Zero concept is based on all of these developments since the early 70s. And it has been received very positively because it's the first global prevention campaign and initiative, which brings together all these many initiatives taken at company level and national level. And we were very pleased. As you know, I had the honor to launch the campaign in my function as Secretary General of the ESA then. And for me, it was a wonderful moment to hear the Prime Minister of Singapore actually presenting Vision Zero as a national strategy for prevention in Singapore. And so it is not just a question of having a Vision Zero mindset at the company level, and very importantly amongst company leaders and top managers, but it's important that it's also in the society, that these issues are actually promoted also by governments. And there are several governments that have taken Vision Zero as their national prevention strategy. Now, this has been launched in Malaysia, if talking about your region, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in the region of Punjab and India. It has been also launched in the Russian Federation, in countries in Latin America. So one can say it has been received very positively. So today, the Vision Zero community, those that have officially signed up to the Vision Zero campaign, has reached 15,000. And 10,000 of these are companies. So we have 10,000 company leaders that have committed to the Vision Zero mindset. And we know there are many more that are implementing the same principles on a daily basis, which not yet have signed up to it. And I know there are many companies in Japan also that are using exactly the same principles. So I would say that it has actually been received very positively, and the community is growing every day. And now we are at a stage where it's important that we also establish platforms for these leaders and for the OSH professionals together, to work together and to share experiences. So in conclusion, I would say that really it has been a great success, and it has been more successful than we even had dreamt of at the moment when we designed the campaign. So this was a very positive experience, I think, for all of us. Thank you.
どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you
オールジャパ
very
ン
much.
といいますか、としての取り組みと、
So there
産
has
業界とし
been
ての取
all
り組みも
Japan
大事だ
efforts
し、
and the
同時に、
businesses
そう
play
した
an
パブリックな
important
エ
role.
ンティティの取
And
り
the
組みも大
public
事ということで、
entities'
各官民
participations
挙げ
is
て、
also
こういった
important. Both the public and
ビジ
private
ョンゼロのようなもの
sectors
に取り組んでいくというのは
are
大事なことというご
working,
指摘
and
であっ
that
た
is
と
quite
思います。
important, as we
コンク
just
レフスキー
heard.
さんは、先
Mr.
ほど申し上げましたように、
Konkolevsky,
グロあれですね、ビジネスカウンセルグローバルビジョンゼロのグローバルビジ
he
ネス
is
カウンセルの主催をして
the
もおられ
president
ま
of
す。インダ
Business
ストリーと
Council,
政府と、そういった
connecting businesses and the government. I believe that networking is quite important. We don't have much time. I'm sure that there is expectation to summit. We have received some questions via chats, and one of the questions, we have two questions that we want to talk about. Question to Mr. Kawata. Safety 2.0 introduction to the tunnel activity. What was the concrete impact? And Mr. Fujita, you have a question. IDEC has been certified. What kind of certification did you receive? Mr. Kawata,
すいません、聞こえてます？
do you hear me?
先ほどチャットでこう答えたんですけども、
I already
どちら
responded
かとい
via
うと
chat.
今までですね、やっぱり安全に関して我
Conventionally,
々元請け側というか、
the
上から
general
こうですね、あれせいこ
constructor,
れせいって言ったのはですね、やっ
we
ぱり
gave
認
top-down
証を取るためのいろんなところ
instruction,
でです
but in
ね、
order to
作
be
業員の皆
certified,
さんといろいろどう
we
やるかということを
discussed
です
the
ね、
various
話
issues
し合い
with
ながら取り組んだ
operators.
と。
We
い
had
う
a
と
lot
こ
of
ろからですね、
conversation with
やっぱり
operators,
自らそういうものに改善に取り組もうという姿勢
so
が随分できたのかな
we
と
could
いうこ
create
とは
a
非常に良
sense
かっ
of
たかなと思って
ownership
ます。
for
今日実
improvement.
は梶谷さんにですね、サーベイランス
Mr.
を
Kajia
1年目でいただいたんですけ
gave
ど
us
も、
the
梶谷
first
さんの方に
year
もですね、そういった
surveillance.
コメントいただいて、非
And
常
there
に
was a
私
comment
嬉
I
しく思って
received
いるとこ
from
ろです。
Mr. Kajia, who
はい。
did the surveillance for us. We were very happy to have it.
ですね、実はQ&A の時間でございますが、先ほど藤田さん並びに
And
コンプレ
Mr.
さんからお話し
Fujita
され
and
ておりま
as
したデジタル
Mr.
時代のビジョンゼ
Kotlewski
ロのゴール
talked
デンルール
about
が作
the
成されたと
golden
いう
rule for
あの
digital
お
era.
お話あり
New
ました
set of
が、
golden
その
rules are
ヒューマ
being
デンマー
prepared
クのです
from
ね、
Denmark.
ヒューマンハウスのペニ
Human
ルニル
House,
タウさんが
the
実はこ
Technical
のセッショ
Tao
ンに参加
is
いただ
with
いており
us.
ま
Ms.
す
Tao
の
is
で、
with us.
ご紹介するとともに
I would
簡
like
単
to
にそうい
introduce
うデジタル
Ms.
時代で
Tao
のゴー
and
ルデンルー
ask
ルということで、
Ms.
コ
Tao
メント
to
いただ
talk
ければあ
about
り
the
がたいんです
golden
が、タウ
rules
さん
for
お願いできますで
digitalization.
しょ
Can
う
we
か。
ask Ms. Tao to do that?
Yes, thank you. And thank you very much for letting me participate in this interesting forum. You have already seen the digitalization version of the 7 golden rules that we have prepared. First of all, just briefly to introduce Human House, we are the leading health and safety leadership consulting company in Denmark. And I am also one of the hosts of the Danish Vision Zero Business Council that we have established in close collaboration with the Global Vision Zero Business Council. And in Denmark, we are working a lot with the well-being aspect of health and safety. And we have adapted the Vision Zero Golden Rules to also include well-being. And because we participated in the Great Reset conference, and I was very inspired by Mr. Fujita and Mr. Kawata's presentations on collaborative safety and safety 2.0, we have adapted the Vision Zero Golden Rules to fit the digitalization process. And what it is in just briefly, because we are lacking time, it's about that we need the top management to demonstrate commitment and to take leadership in order to think about when we implement the digitalization strategies, what effects could that have on well-being? We have great opportunities in digitalization, but we need to think in forehand to prevent the possible risks that digitalization could provide or mean for the well-being of employees when it comes to, for example, work-related stress, performance pressure, work complexity, and what it means in relation to social interaction, for example, between employees. So we need leaderships to understand what is the relationship so that we can prevent the negative effects of the very possible digitalization processes. We also need to be clear on what leading indicators do we want to have if we are to measure the well-being effects coming from digitalization. And we need to ensure by using collaborative safety 2.0, that we create the feeling of well-being among the employees already when designing machines, the robots and so on that we need to work with. And it's important to involve the employees. This is the golden rule number 7, so that we can hear the employees' voices about what is important to prevent and to augment the well-being of the employees when we implement digitalization strategies. This means that we all, top management level, line management level, and employees needs to be educated in what possible effects the digitalization can have on our well-being, because then we will be able to have a fruitful discussion on this theme. This is something we are also discussing in the Danish Vision Zero Business Council, and we are in the process of preparing new leading indicators on well-being as well. So thank you very much for letting me just talk briefly about the work we are doing, and thank you for the inspiration from the collaborative safety and safety 2.0 from you in Japan. Thank you.
Thank
you very much, Mr. especially for your positive message from the top management and from the human resource development. We need to do whatever we can for the well-being in the field of digitalization. We don't have much time left. I think we have about 5 minutes or so, and so that we can summarize our discussion.
So we talked about the Vision Zero expectations for Japanese companies, and also we talked about Great Reset. So let me ask each panelist to make the final comment, starting from Fujita-san. IGSAP has been collaborating with overseas organizations, especially the concept of well-being. I'm still trying to learn this concept. I'd like to work with companies from Denmark, Finland, Switzerland. We want to learn more through the collaboration from overseas companies. And Mr. Konklevsky's commitment is very appreciative as well. And I hope that many people would join this undertaking. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. Kawata-san, please. One quick comment, please. I'm the president of the committee member of the IGSAP, and there are people from 15 companies. The safety of construction company had been dealt with by each individual company level, but now I think that we have to collaborate even more. And recently, robots and other new technologies have been utilized at the work. And there are some areas which are not covered by the current law framework, legal framework. So we have to learn from overseas so that we can solve those problems as well. Given this situation, it's difficult for Mr. Konklevsky to come visit Japan, but I hope that he would come so that he can see our sites, so that he can give us a lot of advices. Thank you. Mr. Konklevsky, if you can give us the last final comment about your expectation to Japanese companies.
Well, thank you very much. And congratulations with organizing this topic and this conference about these important issues. I have two comments now. One comment is that I believe that it's time for Japanese companies to organize themselves around the Vision Zero movement. As we heard from Ms. Tao, Denmark and other countries are on the way to create also Vision Zero councils as a platform for companies to exchange, because as Mr. Kawata says, we cannot wait until governments give us new rules and regulations and instructions, because the developments are happening now in the companies. And a lot of good practice examples are already there that can be exchanged and can be benefited. So I warmly invite you to join the growing community of nationals, Vision Zero business councils, and to work together also with the Global Council and the sister councils. Secondly, I would like to mention that this year Japan is hosting, and Tokyo is the host town for the Olympic Games. And next year there's another Olympics, and this is an Olympics in occupational safety and health, which is the Global Vision Zero Summit, which will take place in May next year in Tokyo again. It will be online due to the circumstances, but again, this is a great opportunity for the world to meet online, to learn from Japanese experiences, and that Japanese companies and organizations can learn from the world. And I would like to thank the Japanese organizers, they are here just in front of you, for taking this initiative. And I really hope that with this initiative, we promote further the Vision Zero philosophy in Japan, in the region, in the world, but also that we kind of strengthen the links between Japan and the Japanese OSH community and businesses and the world. So I look very much forward to that, and thank you for inviting me to be with you today.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。はい、
Thank you very much for your comment.
先生からまとめて。
Now,
はい、
Professor Mukaitano, can I ask you to conclude the session? I think we had an impressive discussion. As Mr. Konklevsky mentioned, Japan started from a bottom-up approach, but in Europe, they started the top-down. And now we are meeting at the midway. And now, across companies' boundaries, we have to learn from each other. That's the situation now. As Mr. Konklevsky mentioned, we have to join together with the world to pursue the concept of well-being. Japan and the world has to go to the same direction. I think it's a great opportunity. In 2022, Vision Zero Summit Japan will be held in Japan, and that will be a very great opportunity for Japanese companies to start pursuing this well-being for the sake of the employees. And this concludes my comments. Thank you very much. I was supposed to make a summary of the session, but now we had great comments from panelists and experts. In any case, collaborative safety and the concept of well-being, and we have to be more proactive rather than responsive. And those are the approaches we have to take. And Vision Zero and collaborative safety have common ground. And I think this concept will contribute to the achievement of Great Reset to overcome the COVID-19. Business Council Japan, there was a talk about we have to have Business Council Japan, and we would like to activate the discussion on this. The Business Council has already been created in Denmark. We want to learn from that process. And Vision Zero Japan, I hope, would accelerate the process of creating the council in Japan. And that's my closing, and I apologize for poor moderatorship. I believe that we had a fruitful discussion thanks to the contribution of the panelists. And thank you very much for Mr. Konklevsky, Mr. Kawata, and Mr. Fujita. And from Denmark, Tao-san, thank you very much to you too. With that, I'd like to conclude the panel discussion. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for your participation. And I'd like to ask you to fill in the survey. With that, thank you very much.